Hey guys, this is Nicole from Kallias, and you're watching Interview Under Fire.
Capsized by the strength of the elements of the earth. And I won't stop till I'm spun out of this.
First off, I'm just like, my heart is just so like full right now because you're here, and it's like we've been staying in touch for, God, 3 years, and it's not even to the point where you're not even a guest at this point. You're just a good friend to have on
Yeah, I
my
feel the
show,
same.
and thank you for also just supporting me throughout. And since I've been doing this, it goes both ways. So I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the support that you've been giving me. And like I said, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'll probably sound like a broken record a lot throughout a conversation here, but I learn a lot about myself as much as I learn about my guests. So it's just, you know what I'm saying? And it's just it
Yeah.
just feels really good. By the way, I can't believe that you're outside because you can't even step outside here in Texas without, like, it's insane. Like, my
Oh,
skin
yeah.
has hated me this summer, and my mom was like telling me, yeah, you probably get that from me. I'm like, yeah, you say this every year, mom. But this year I'm really feeling like we're getting the worst heat. I'm sure
Oh my
you're
God.
it's like perfect for you guys out in Cali. I need to.
It's kind of cooled down a little bit, but
Yeah.
we had a pretty bad heat wave like I don't know, a week or two ago, and then it rained a couple days ago, so it's kind of
What is that?
been nice.
I hear that rain is like something that drops from the sky, and it's like,
I know, I don't know. It's like water falls from the sky and then no one knows what to do here. So,
man, and it's just I also want to say this. I know this is just introducing myself, this show, to the guests. Obviously you are my really good friend and always the amazingly talented. And I want to say Nicole Papastavrou. I always want to do that introduction. It's always an honor, of course, here in IUF, our sessions. And I'm talking like our sessions, like it's like this is going to be like a therapy session almost for you and me, because it's been so
yes,
crazy.
I love it.
And I've been keeping up with everything that you've been doing. And like I said, our conversations have always been just so in depth, and I'm so grateful that I got the opportunity to know you from the ground up while doing these interviews and staying in touch for the last 3 years. But in 2023, and I think this may be the most important one in your life, Nicole. I know, as you and Kallias are gearing up for the drop of your first ever full-length studio album, appropriately titled First Ascent. And this
I
drops on
know.
August 20th. I'm so excited, like August 25th, through, I believe it's AISA Distribution, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Okay,
ASA.
ASA. Okay, I don't know. I'm butchering the name, ASA.
ASA
And
and the
yeah,
Orchard, so they
ASA.
partner.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I've congratulated you so much, but just congrats on just working really hard to get to this point, and the recognition I'm seeing from other different outlets. I think Knotfest is that's just one of them. Is that right?
Yeah, we did the
And
last premiere for Lungta through Knotfest.
that's so great to see and so well deserved.
Yeah.
And that new single, Lungta, goodness gracious, Great Balls of Fire, because the everlasting. If anyone hasn't seen the music video, please do that, because that is a thing of beauty, which we'll talk about, so on and so forth. Man, all these new fans that are also quickly building and discovering your music. I still recall your appearance on the No Cover Show last year. I don't know if you're reading the comments like I am on YouTube. People are saying they discovered you on YouTube, and you're the only
Yeah.
artist, and you're the only artist that they stuck to, aside from anyone else who has made an appearance. And
Yeah, that's pretty cool to see. And a little like it's surprising, but in a good way, you know? So I'm like, okay, like we had something unique, and if we were able to like, you know, snag some, unique fans as well, like I'm honored. So
open
it's
up a
nice
lot.
to see that.
Yeah, it did open up a lot of exposure to the fans out there,
Mhm.
and just so much to unpack, of course. And I know you have this West Coast tour that's coming up, or supporting Cyborg Octopus. Shout out to those guys,
Yes.
because they were on our show not too long
Yes.
ago. I think it was Ian Forsyth. He was on her show, and
Oh,
he's
awesome.
such a nerd. Like, I love the guy. We were talking about music, but there was some part of him where I just wanted to just get away from the music and just talk about all things video games, and just editing, and just graphic design and things, and so on and so forth, because he took a big part of that, chunk of that, and just I think he was a part of that the album art that came out when they dropped the album last year.
Oh,
But
cool.
and this track, I think this kicks off August 25th, the day the album drops.
Yep.
And it's just I'm just kicking myself in my ass right now because I wish I was out there. See, I promise I will come out soon. As of course with me, Nicole, I graduated finally a couple months ago, and it's just a big monkey off my
Yeah.
back. Quit the corporate life,
Congrats.
did all that, and I'm
Congrats.
just pursuing everything, everything that you're seeing right now. So it's full speed ahead. But
So happy for
uh
you.
no, thank you. It means a lot coming from support of people like you because it just hits me that much more. But let's catch up, right? Let's take a deep breath. How have you been? Have you did they even ask you how have you been? Like, how have you been since we last spoke? Because I will also add that one of the more important impacts, and you can talk about this whenever if you want to talk about it or not, because one of the more important impacts that the Kallias lineup collectively, I feel, has gone through is this huge lineup change where Colin Cook took over as the band's guitarist soon after the departure of your previous member Zachy. And talk about Colin here, Nicole. Also to start off, I wonder what new element does he bring into the lineup that you guys may not have had in the past, because it seems like Colin is like this right now. Like you guys
Yeah.
found your groove. But I know a lot I'm throwing at you, but just
Yeah.
take it away.
Yeah, it's been great and really love having Colin on board. He really brings something unique to the table, especially with his jazz knowledge and his jazz chops. It's something different, like
Mhm.
when we were looking for somebody, I always said like I don't want like another like me in the band, right? I need like someone to complement like what I have already and bring something different to the table because, that's kind of when you expand your mind more and the music, like you can fuse different genres together. So, bringing someone in with like a completely different background, I thought would add something unique to our sound. And the first song that we wrote with Colin is Mouthless Embassy.
Oh
And
man.
I feel like that one has gotten better response than I think any of our songs, which is really, really cool because, Colin and I sat down together and it was very organic. I actually didn't even have anything prepared. And this was sort of like
That's always the best thing, right?
If
Like
Colin
the
ever
best
listens
things
to
go
this,
unplanned sometimes.
yeah, this was kind of like a test. I'm like, man, I know you can shred, right? Like I know you're like a sick shredder, but like, can you write? And and that was like my thing. I'm like, I'm gonna go over there. I'm not gonna bring anything. We're just gonna sit down and see what happens. And I think I just started jamming like a riff and he like completed my sentence. And then that happened like again, and then it happened again. And then we had like a handful of riffs. Um, that I was able to take home at the end of the
Mhm.
night. And the rest of that week, I started like, retracking everything, arranging stuff, doing all like the synth orchestrations. And then when I went back over there another time, I had him help me, check all of my orchestrations and like help me like with the chords for like the chorus that I came up with because he really has that really in-depth theory knowledge that I don't have. Like I have my ears, right? And
Yeah.
they've served me all right like over the years, but it's nice to have someone that's educated like in theory that can be like, "Oh, actually like I see what you're trying to do here, but we could make it more interesting by like stacking these chords or whatever." So it worked out great and really happy how that song turned out. And of course, like with Ola Borud's touch in there, it really just put it over the top. So yeah, really, really stoked to have Colin, and I'm really excited for like I know this album's coming out on the 25th, but I'm like really excited for the next one that we're working on. So
I remember when you guys dropped the fourth phase back in 2020.
yeah.
And these are questions that I asked you a lot during our conversations is I would say something like, for people who don't know, me and Nicole have been staying in touch for the last 3 years, of course, and I've been following her amazing work since then. But I asked you questions that I was very interested in is, hey, do you think the fourth phase could be a sneak peek into what's to come, right? I asked you that. I asked you that
Hmm.
in 2020. I asked you that last year. And now, as you were talking about the musicianship and the musicality that you've developed with Colin, I can't help but think that last song, Lungta, is, you know what I'm saying? Is that another sneak peek into, again, what's to come? Like, that's the cool part. And I'm gonna add this too, Nicole. I'm just seeing it right now as you're just telling me. You seem more excited about your work than you ever have. The way you are just talking about your music, because last year, I remember this specifically. We sat down to do the interview on the podcast, and you weren't even. I don't think you were home. I think you were in New York or somewhere,
I was, yeah, I was
and
at the
and
studio. Mhm.
and I kind of sensed that, I don't know, something felt uneasy. Like, it's just something in the back of her head. I didn't want to pick at it, but I kind of just knew it's something,
Yeah.
with friends, when you know each other. And
It
now
was a tough summer, let's just say that.
I definitely know that. And like I said, we don't have to dive in the details, but I know that did a lot of growing up and a lot of learning about yourself too last year to where you're right now. Because you're just like everything you just told me in the last 5 minutes, the way you're excited about just this new chapter of Kallias. I meant it.
Mhm.
This is the most important chapter. So shout out to Colin. Shout out to freaking Chris and JP. Man, JP, good lord. That guy is such
Yeah.
an underrated drummer. I don't think anybody
Yeah.
realizes that, but I just want to talk about him for a minute here because both of my brothers are drummers. Nicole, I don't know if I told you this, but that's one thing I always pay attention to when it
Okay.
comes to drum patterns and so on and so forth, especially in progressive music, progressive metal. But I want you to talk about JP because we got to show him some love. Like, does it? I feel like when you guys are in the studio, it's almost like friendly competition. It's like, okay, he's up here, so I got to meet him at this level.
Oh yeah.
Talk about that for a second, because I'm sure that's probably you're experiencing that more and more, just like you do with
Hmm.
Colin. I feel like,
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, JP and I are like each other's biggest
I guess.
cheerleaders, I feel like. We got like that Aries energy going on. Our birthdays are like 6 days apart. So it's kind of
Wait,
funny.
you're Aries, right?
Yeah.
So you're the opposite of me. I'm Libra, so that's
Oh, okay.
no wonder we gel so well too, because the opposites.
Yeah,
That's
it
also
is.
cool.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Keep us balanced when we get too
exactly.
crazy, right? But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, JP and I are like each other's like hype man, right? So, he kind of had like a tough year last year too with breaking
Hmm.
his foot on tour and
I
going
remember that
through like
actually.
the
Yeah.
surgery, not being able to drum, like he had to play 2 shows with the kick on tracks, which like he
Oh
was a
man.
little uneasy about, but I'm like, it's fine. Like you got to do what you got to do. The shows move on. And he's fully recovered now, and everything is back up to speed, and we're writing again together. I'm sure you know, but like during that time, I had to really hone in on my drum programming skills.
Yeah, I remember that.
Which like I did get JP on calls and I screen shared with him and I'm like, this is what superior drummer looks like and this is where I have to put, blah blah blah. I'm trying to like make this beat, but I don't know how to do it. So he did help me a lot with like, writing in there. And then of course, like, later on when he got better, he would reinterpret everything. So it sounded like, like the way a real drummer would write something, not a guitar
Yeah.
player. And that's the ongoing joke right now. But yeah, like it's been great. And like right now, him and I are actually we're working on the next album together pretty closely. Like he's sending me sometimes almost complete songs just on drums, which is kind of putting like a new perspective on writing for me because I'm usually starting songs with guitar or
Yeah.
like synth or something. So to get just like a drum track from him is pretty cool because like I'm not having to sit there and like program like I was for the 6 months that he was out of commission. And like I can just be like, all right, I'm just gonna roll with this. Like he just sent me like a arranged like drum track that he just like tracked in his studio. So it's been cool. And I feel like, the Nicole and JP songs are the craziest. So
The
which
crazier the better.
which Dark Machine is like a me and JP song. Like we like worked on that the most together.
Man,
So it was
that song just feels like that song to me. That's if I were to introduce someone to Kallias, I actually did that for a couple of friends of mine. That's the song I would introduce
really,
them to, just because I feel like
yeah.
the Dark Machine is kind of like the median where you guys are going to now, and from where you guys started. Dark Machine's kind of like
Hmm.
that transition phase. I don't know,
Yeah.
because there was that, it was so huge when you guys dropped that single. I'm sorry, I'm like interrupting you, because
No.
that song, I love that song so much, because not only it's just a great, it's just a great song, and from start to finish, because the progressive elements that, and the the time signatures in that song, it's so insane. And I always go back to bands like Meshuggah and Opeth and so on and so forth. You know how much we love those bands. We could talk about that forever.
Yeah.
But that song, I feel like that's like the prolific Kalia song to me. Just because, you hear a band and like, okay, what song from Metallica? Okay, one. For me, Kallias, it's the Dark Machine, because that's a
That's
song that
cool.
just means a
Yeah,
lot to me. But
that's cool to hear because I feel like our most popular one is Supermassive, right? Everyone always
God,
goes
that
back to
too.
that song.
I
But I
remember
like
that
I
one.
actually favor like playing Dark Machine live more than anything because it's so fun to play. It's such like a right hand burner, and even like the vocals are so fun for me in that song. So it's cool. Like I'm really excited for like this new set list that we have. Playing. We're actually going to be playing three songs that we've never played live before.
That's
So
awesome.
it's exciting. Yeah, and then there's no more instrumentals in the set.
So again, for people who don't know, Kallias started off as instrumental. This is my favorite probably transition you guys have ever had. What a great decision, because I Nicole, you're a great vocalist. I need to give you some credit.
You.
You need to give yourself some credit. I don't know how the hell you do it. I don't care how
I
you
know.
I don't care how you do it, but it's you sound like you found a second wind here, not only with just this lineup change, but even just incorporating the vocals into into first Ascent. I'm going down the track list here. One of my favorite parts is the Matter Eater outro. I don't know who came up with that, but that may be my favorite
Oh,
track on the record, because I
wow.
don't know if it's just me, but I listened to a lot of power metal growing up, and I heard a lot of power metal elements in this album.
We got
And
kind of cheeseball at the end of that.
no, it was great. I'm
I
glad you did, because I'm like, was this album written for me? Because okay, check. It's like
Oh my God.
this mental checklist in my head, and of course the Opeth influences were there. And I'm gonna say this again. I mean, Opeth. I mean, if somebody's listening out there, please add Kallias to your
Oh
freaking lineup
God.
at some
Are
point,
you
because
talking about Lungta one? Yeah, that is
God, okay,
total
well, I'm not even.
Opeth
I'm just.
worship. I
That's a
put like the
great song, but
Mellotron in there.
not only are you supposedly like paying homage to all these bands we're talking
Yeah.
about, but you're also providing a contemporary twist into progressive metal, into everything who you guys are. I've never heard anything like this. I even think of bands like, even like Cynic. It's like, okay, that's probably close to them, maybe even to a certain extent, but I think that song, Lungta, even part one, transitioning into part two, that's your signature sound, I feel, because
Yeah.
it really showed so many different portions that your band is capable of, and taking from your roots, and it's just, I don't know. I think you found something special here, Nicole, and I can't wait for people to hear it, and
Thank
just the
you.
entire album, because for top to bottom, yeah, Lungta is out right now, but I want people to hear it from top to bottom, because it was over in a blink. Was it 37 minutes of just total
Yeah.
destruction? And it was just like, holy shit, it took me out for a ride. So
Yeah, that's why we kind of put I wanted to put Lungta because the arrangement of the album was, so important and putting Lungta at the end, it was the last song that we wrote. And I feel like it was a true departure from the album because I sent that song to a few close friends And the first thing that I got was, is this Kallias? And I was like, oh, I'm like, all right. I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be like the new direction that we're going. And it took a long time to structure that song because originally the way I had it
Mhm.
was, that kind of that intro riff at the top of Lung Tattoo when everything kicks in. That only happened for like a round and it never came back in the song. But when Chris wrote the vocals to that part, and the way we write vocals is like we'll get on the phone and we'll be like, we'll just do timestamps in like a
Yeah.
shared document, and I'll be like, all right, heavy vocals here, and then like clean vocals here, and then he'll write the lyrics to the clean vocals, and I'll write the lyric. We'll pick a theme or whatever, and then we each write our parts. And when I heard the melody that he did for the beginning of Lungta, it was like something, I don't know, I had like some epiphany, and I'm just like, and we were actually close to, that was the last piece of the puzzle to that song. Everything was arranged. And then when he added those vocals in, I was like, hold on, this changes everything. I was like, I think this is the best like melody you've written ever. So like we need to extend this part and not only like extend it, but we need to repeat it. This needs to come back. Like this is the hook, right? So I rearranged like everything, created like more work. Of course, the song got a lot longer. It was like over 7 minutes. Because really, part one and part two, it's essentially one song. I
It is.
separated them on
Yeah.
the album because my brain is like, oh, people's attention spans. It's our first album, and I want people to be able to like skip an intro if they want to. So that's the real reason why I did, I
Soon as
did
I
that.
saw, okay, as soon as I saw, and yes, you did send me the album a couple months back. So many things
Yeah.
have been going through my timeline, but as soon as I saw like Lung to one and Lung to two, I didn't know how to pronounce it. I'm just reading it. I'm thinking to myself in my head, oh shit, that's it right there. That's gonna that's gonna be like an epic part of the album. I can't wait to get there.
Yeah.
But from songs like, even the introduction, the approach to Rational Fear to Matter Eater, which is
Also one song.
yeah, also one song. And Matter Eater, it's funny that I said that maybe my favorite track because Call him Cook, right? And then 21 grams and then all the way to Lungta. But you had a good amount of guests. You had freaking Jeff Loomis, Greg Burgess,
Yeah.
Rafael Trujillo. Talk about these guys for a second because I feel like bringing people like just the people that I mentioned into your world of making music together. I don't know. Do you feel pressure when it comes to that, or you're just like, you know what, this is great. I get to work with
Yeah.
minds like
Both,
these.
I think. Yeah, it was a little bit of both. It was very intimidating for me to have Jeff Loomis on a track. And then for me to also have a solo on that track, I'm just like,
What the hell?
how I can. And funny enough, I was actually taking lessons with Raphael. So
Very cool.
I do have to give him a lot of credit because he helped me specifically work through that solo that I wrote in Irrational Fear. And I was
Wow.
telling him like I'm gonna have Loomis on this track, like I really need your opinion on this, like if I'm like if I should keep going. And he just kind of helped like by telling me, oh, like I feel like there can be more of like a peak to your solo, and if you extended like this part of it or this run, like kept going a little bit more, that might complete it. So he really helped me with that. And yeah, I was stoked with how it turned out in the end because he kind of gave me that push
Yeah.
to write something that I could not play up until like a few weeks ago, if I'm being quite honest. Because I
Wow.
didn't, I wrote it, I put it out, I tracked it. And like usually when I'm tracking things, I don't think about like, I have to be able to play this, right? I'm like, write it, track it, finish it, and then you practice it later, right? So that's kind of my workflow. And I ended up, yeah, having to relearn it last month because we're getting ready for the tour and everything. And I had to sit down for like hours with that solo to get that run up to speed. But I'm so glad that like he gave me that push because, I probably wouldn't have done that on my own, been able
Yeah.
to like give myself that, like direction to do that. So yeah, I'm stoked to have him on a track as well. He wrote like a really beautiful solo and in 21 grams and then having Loomis, like, I don't know, it just felt natural, like, having
Yeah.
another Jackson artist on there. So I'm lucky
Shout
that
out Jackson.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, and well, I want to ask about this because also Francisco Artusado, who did
Yes,
he
the
was
artwork.
also my guest not too long ago. He's actually a good friend of mine. He
Oh,
did I had no idea when I actually got a chance to interview him that he did all like graphic design and so on and so forth. He was showing me all these pictures of like car models. I was like, wait, that's a real
yeah,
car. He's like, no, I made this photo. I was like,
yeah.
what?
It's
Like,
crazy. It
if
looks
anyone who
so
hasn't seen his
realistic.
artwork, it's
Yeah.
amazing. But I love the artwork, the to First Ascent. Can you tell me more about what this means? Because it seems like you went to Francisco with an idea, and I think he blew it out of the water with what he was able to just conjure up on. It's eye candy, really.
Yeah. It may actually look familiar to you because if you remember in the
I'm
Supermassive
I'm pulling
music
it up right
video,
now. Yeah,
what
I'm pulling it up.
what Chris was doing in the Supermassive music video, that's kind of like where I got the idea. So I wanted to like recreate that sort of scene,
Mhm.
um, but for the album artwork.
Yeah, if anyone hasn't seen it, it has a very matrixy feel to it, and
Yeah.
if you count the fingers, there's like four fingers, so that's like a whole different dimension that
Yeah,
you're
just kind of like this
going
weird,
into.
like alien human hybrid thing that's like hooked up to a bunch of wires. We're all like a bunch of sci-fi nerds, so
Oh yeah, you
of
already know that.
course,
You already know this about me, so
yeah.
that kind of struck a chord with me anyway. And
Yeah, I'm
you know,
always trying to marry those worlds, like the like sci-fi, but also like climbing. So I feel like that's been just the theme of the album.
and the music video, you talked about the theme, and I'm gonna take a quote here from you. I have it right here. It resembles the physical and mental journey of climbing, like you said, in the Himalayas. Lungta meaning wind horse, is that correct?
Yeah.
And I wonder when it comes to themes, Nicole, how much of that is an important component of songwriting for a band like Kallias? Do you focus on themes a lot, or does it just you kind of just go with the flow? Like, do you have you have something set from like day one and you kind of stick with that, or does it just, there's this evolution that goes into the final product as we're seeing right now, if that makes sense?
Not necessarily. I didn't really plan for any sort of thing. I mean, we all kind of, meshed with the sci-fi thing, but when vocals for me came into play and it came time to write words on paper, um, I don't really consider myself much of like a poetic person. Like I'm
Hmm.
good with music, right? But as far as words, I was just not confident in like, what do I talk about? Like, how do I do this? I'm not really like a writer like that. So it just felt natural for me to talk about my experiences with climbing and somehow try to make that sound um, poetic. So that's kind of really what happened. I mean, I think we have like a few songs that I was like pulling up science articles and trying to
Yeah.
make that sound poetic just to make it kind of interesting. So yeah, it wasn't really planned. But I think like for a song like Malthus Embassy, I did let Chris choose the theme for that, and he kind of wanted it to be like a sort of war story.
Hmm.
So, I did some kind of research on like different like war stories and then added, like the sci-fi kind of element to it as well. So that's what we did there. And he wrote actually most of, if not all, the lyrics, I think, to 21 grams.
Okay.
So yeah, it wasn't really just sticking to one thing. It was just like every song is like its own thing. But yeah, I guess more of the ones that I did are just have to do with climbing and like experiences with that and like, just what goes on mentally when I'm up there.
I want to get into climbing in just a little bit because I don't know if we had a chance to talk about it as much in the past, but just to continue on Lungta about the meaning behind that song because it is really a powerful song, and you mentioned that you best use your collective imaginations to bring to life the inward battle that someone faces when they're taking on a journey, and as I was watching the music video just unfold, it was, man, you guys really did a great job on that because the visuals were straight up. I was thinking like, Blade Runner, maybe even, things like that. And
No,
it
I'll
really
take it.
it really stuck out. Even movies like
It's
Aliens.
a very nice compliment.
No, seriously, because someone like me, and it really struck a chord because I come from a background of one of my favorite movies is freaking Aliens. So that's also another part that stuck out. But
Mhm.
and climbing this part of your life, Nicole. I don't know, like I said, we had a chance to talk about it, but this is something that you have an extreme passion for. The obstacles that you climb that I've seen on your Instagram stories, I'm just blown away. I'm over here just on my couch comfortably in AC, and you're out there doing the thing that you're doing. Like
Very uncomfortable.
someone
You know how I like to be uncomfortable and suffer, right?
stepping out of your comfort zone. Here's the thing. Someone like me, I would love to learn that one day. So just shout out if I ever come out to visit you, which I will. That's something that I would love to learn to do one day. And
Nice.
I went skydiving, zip lining, so on and so forth, but I want to be able to actually complete a journey like that. Where did your first love for climbing first come to the surface? How did you know that this is something that you wanted to continue to do with your life? And how did you overcome your fear of heights? Did you even have any fear of heights? I know I didn't.
I didn't, no, because when I was a kid, I was always climbing trees and like playing tree tag. That was actually like a thing.
That's the
Like we
thing,
would
huh?
we would play tag in the trees.
Find friends
Um,
who climb trees just like you, and there you go. I didn't have that. We don't
I
have that in
guess.
Texas, Nicole. Okay, so
Yeah, and then I was always like climbing up on the roof, like when I was a kid and bringing my skateboard up there. I don't know why. I thought it was fun to like skateboard on the roof to like piss off my grandma. So
that's straight up Tony Hawk
so
thinking
I
right
guess I
there.
did
Yeah,
like to, get up in high places and then when I started, rock climbing, which I think was like, I don't know, over 12, 13 years ago at this
yeah.
point, um, I just fell in love with it. It gave me like a new perspective on the world, and it made me also want to travel more to see the world from that perspective. Because I had toured before that, but it's just different when you like go somewhere to like connect more with the earth
Yeah.
and you're like touching the rock and it's just like, yeah, it's really extreme, but it's also like very peaceful and zen and a sort of therapy for me because you're forced to be present with just what's in front of you and like really what's just like within a 4 foot radius of you. You can't be too worried about like what's too far up or what's too far down or left or right or what's behind you. You're really just kind of focused on the here
Hmm.
and now. Um, so it's been very rewarding, I think, like mentally and physically, getting to travel to a lot of places that I once like toured for like and been in the city for like, I don't know, 12 hours, but actually going out in nature and like staying there for some time and getting to know the area and um yeah, it's been beautiful. And then, I ice climb every winter too, which I think is my favorite style of climbing.
I
Uh
can't believe that you do that. I love that you do that. The photos and the reels that I've been
yeah.
seeing. It's how do you know where to go for, is there like a specific place where I don't know,
There,
ice
yeah,
climbers
there's
gather and
guidebooks.
yeah,
There's
okay.
definitely a lot of guidebooks that are written for certain areas for ice. And then, of course, there's like a ton of uncharted territory as well. We also have an app called Mountain Project, and it's
Yeah.
user created sort of like an all trails, but for climbing specifically. And then it'll give you like GPS coordinates of like certain climbs in the area. And a lot of people use that when they're traveling. Like if you don't want to, if you're going to go to an area and you don't have the guidebook or something, you can always go on Mountain Project, and like download that map and it'll work when you're offline. And it'll tell you where climbs are. But it's like, it's always a scavenger hunt when you're doing that because there's these directions that are like, oh, you cross this stream and then cross the scree field and then there's a cairn right here and then there's a tree that's shaped like this and make a left turn and it's always like a whole thing. So it's definitely part of like it's like a hunt to find some of these climbs and even more so with ice because you actually don't like with rock, like chances are, I don't know, maybe a hold has broken off at some point but with ice, like it's different every year. Some years like the flow will come in really fat and the ice is really thick. And then other years it might not even be touching down to the ground or it's like really thin and it's brittle. So you kind of never know like what you're gonna get. It's a very condition dependent sport. And all these structures that you're climbing are temporary. So, it's like some of them, yeah, you look at the guidebook, but it might not look like that this year. So you kind of got to ask around within this really small community if anyone had been there recently and knows, like, hey, is this in yet? Or is it not? Or like, how is it? So,
And
or you just got to like make the trek out there yourself and find out.
you could see me like I'm stroking my chin because I really do want to do this at some point in the near future. You said it's Mountain Project. That's the
Mountain Project. Yeah.
okay. And I'm guessing beginners can use this too, or is there a
I
specific
wouldn't
spot where
recommend, no, I would not recommend for beginners. Like for someone looking to get into it, I would
Mhm.
absolutely recommend going to a gym at first and doing a little bit of training there as far as like movement and technique. And then as far as like ice too, like you would definitely want to get like a certified guide or even like a close friend that could mentor you and actually like set up the ropes so everything is like 100% safe. So yeah, I
Damn,
wouldn't
that's
recommend Mountain Project to like someone that's used to just hiking and then looking for these climbs because it's a lot of like equipment that's involved,
right.
a lot of safety measures. So yeah.
No, thank you for sharing all that, Nicole, because I think I just briefly talked about it in the past, but I really wanted to dive into it. I wonder if is this something that Chris or Colin or JP have they joined you in doing this together?
No.
Would they I wonder if they would be interested in something like this. I don't know if that's
Chris is
something.
afraid of heights. I know that for sure
Okay.
because I've taken him to one of my climbing spots once. And I think I got him
Really?
on a boulder. So not even like with ropes, but just like a boulder.
That
So
was
yeah,
enough.
I think that was enough for him. It's not for everyone.
Chris, you're in a really great band. I think you're okay.
Yeah.
You get a pass. What was your
He
first?
loves hiking though. So like he's like a very avid hiker. He does like very long hikes and camping and everything. So
We got some really good spots around here in this part of the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex where I live. Hopefully you can come down here at some point. Let me know. I'll take great care of you guys, show you guys around. But we got some really cool trails around here. I mean, I've done the whole, climbing in the gym every now and then, but nothing like obviously what you do. But I wonder
the gym is fun.
like Nicole, when you're up there, now I'm like really thinking as you're just no fear sets in as you're just
Oh, there's a lot of
bursting up
fear.
like it's
There's
yeah,
definitely fear. I mean,
because I'm
there's
thinking of the point of
rational.
like it's kind of like you have to kind of just turn it off. It's like, okay, let's just focus on this
Mhm.
and not think about anything else. That's kind of like
Yeah,
what I do if I'm
it's
going to
tough.
something. Yeah,
Yeah, it's tough sometimes, and that's kind of why like I named, one of the tracks Irrational Fear because there is a lot of irrational fear sometimes and I have to just admit that I have that. So,
very cool.
when you're up there and you're like connected to this rope, um it can be an irrational fear of falling because yeah, no one likes to fall, but
No,
that's what the equipment is for. It's there to
yeah,
catch you, right? So the worst that's going to happen is you're going to fall like, if there's like a boulder underneath you and it's a longer fall, then, maybe you don't want to fall there. But if it's like a clean fall and you're still scared, then I would call that irrational fear.
Do you have
Um,
a man? I'm looking at. You don't
huh?
have a music video idea for Irrational Fear, do you?
Um, there is a music video for irrational fear, actually.
Okay, you don't have to say anything. But so I don't mean to like
Yes.
whatever you can and cannot say because I'm just
It will
thinking
be coming out soon.
because you know what I'm getting at because that song,
Mhm.
considering like what the title represents to you, what you just told me, I don't know.
Yeah.
So many ideas. That's great. I'm looking forward to that one. The
Yeah.
first, I guess the first mountain you ever traversed. When was that?
Um, Mountain,
Or just really just in climbing in general?
a climb. I
Yeah,
guess the first longer climb that I
yeah.
did was in the Gunks, which is upstate New York in the Catskills. And is called high exposure. And I think it's like a 4 or 5 pitch trad climb, like a traditional climb where you have
Yeah.
to plug in cams as your protection on the way up. There's no bolts or anything. That was the first one I did
Holy shit.
there. And it was, yeah, like a multi-pitch climb. So meaning that you have to do it in sections because you keep going higher and higher. So it
How
could
long?
be like 400 or 500 feet, basically
Wow.
longer than the length of one rope. So you have to do it in sections and keep going up. So
Not
when
all
I
heroes
did
wear
that,
capes. I'll tell you that.
yeah.
How long ago was that? When did you do that?
I think that was maybe like 12 years ago at this point.
Do you keep
Was it?
track of all this? I because
I'm
I
I'm
wonder.
trying. I'm thinking. Yeah.
Man,
Yeah, it
that
was a
that'd
long
be a
time
really
ago.
cool just a scrapbook just to keep. I'm very nostalgic if you haven't noticed already, but
Yeah, no,
that'd
that's
be
good. That's good.
that'd be cool to just keep and look back on. But
Yeah.
um, I wanted to transition into someone that means a lot to you is Justin McKinney, and he is an exceptional human being, an amazing musician. If anyone who hasn't listened to Zenith Passage yet, I don't know what's wrong with you, but
The new record, yeah,
change that a Data
so
Elysium.
inspiring.
Holy Christ, that is an amazing album. But having someone like Justin, right? I does is that someone that it feels like he pushes you to become the best version of yourself? We mentioned Justin briefly last year, but I know he's an important piece to what you do. I just wanted to give you the chance to talk about him a little bit because I feel like you learned a lot from him, and I'm sure he
Did.
learns a lot from you. I also believe you even had a part in the Zine of the Passage. I think in a music video. As far as
Yeah, I shot a few of them
yeah,
actually.
yeah. Tell me about that experience. How was that like, and working with those guys and being a part of this amazing, I think one of the top progressive metal albums to come out this year. Period.
Yeah, I'm honored to have been able to help shoot the videos. Yeah, the first two they were green screen videos and Dylan Gold edited them. It was super easy to work with the guys. I mean, they're like family at this point. So yeah, it was great. And then the last two, oh, I guess that makes four that I've helped shoot at this point. Anyway, I'm losing track, but
I'm
yeah, the
making you think a
last
lot. Let's not like we're jumping timelines here.
I know. Yeah, the last one we did like out in the desert. Actually, it was a place that like I had recommended because it's a place that I go climbing.
Okay,
So that one
perfect.
that you see like in the kind of like in that cave with all the lights and everything, that's actually
Yeah,
like it's a climbing area. So, yeah,
that's
I
really
like
cool. Wow.
yeah, so I showed them like how to get there and then like I picked like, the best part of the wall that I thought, maybe like the lasers would look really cool here. But yeah, Derek is actually a climber too. So it's
That
pretty,
yeah, that's
yeah.
really awesome. Yeah, and the Zenith Passage, they just dropped this album not too long ago.
Yeah. It was like
And it's
like a little over 2 weeks ago.
yeah. And
Yeah, very, very proud of them. Like obviously I was there during the whole process of like Justin writing it and tracking it and it was I'm really proud of him. It's one of the hardest things he's ever done in his life, and I kind of saw like what it took to produce an album like that. And it's really crazy, really, really inspiring. And I think I learned a lot. I mean, he's taught me a lot like over the
Mhm.
last few years anyway, like so much with production and like how I track and like inspiration with writing and everything. And of course, like he answers all my Cubase questions, which is great.
You gotta have
Um,
someone to answer that, but
but yeah, he's made me feel like, oh man, if you're doing everything and you're like composing like all of these like parts to this record, like he really made me feel like, oh, like I can take, my shit in my own hands too and figure it out. Like I just have to sit down and learn how to do it and keep doing it so that I get better at it. So, yeah, like I learned how to properly track myself and a lot with music production. I mean, I work for a recording school as well, so that's played a big part
uh,
in the last year and a half. Really bringing my like production level like up to speed and using all these different like plugins and doing the orchestrations and the synth design. I'm recently getting more into synth now. Like I just got my first analog synth, so I'm really stoked on that. So yeah, lots of like new things and challenges, and I don't know, I still feel like I'm always like a student, I'm always hungry to learn and kind of push the boundaries. So yeah,
you
it's
know,
been great.
Nicole, one of my favorite qualities about you is that, and I don't think there will ever be a shortage of this, but when I said that I learn a lot about myself, I meant it. And you were an example because you're always trying to strive to become a better version of yourself the next day and the next day and the next day. And the amount of work that you've been doing the last year, it's amazing. And I got to commend you on that because it's not easy to do what you do and still put out amazing like shitstorm material that's mind blowing to me at least. And I think we kind of touched on this when we were talking a couple of weeks ago. I think it was just last week, but burnout. Do you feel that? Do you feel at any point in your life where I gotta stop things right here and really kind of just focus on something else and look at a whole different perspective from the outside, and then maybe go back in with a refocused, an attitude, and I've been through that in this last year, and I think that, with graduating and quitting my corporate job after like 12 years and finally pursuing music like for the long haul. And I told my peers this, and they're just telling me, "Man, Sonny, that takes a lot of balls." I went to my barber today, and such a nice guy, Anthony. I got to give him a shout out. He's like my other therapist, aside from what I'm having
Yes.
here. But I go to him like once a month. He's like, "Man, Sonny, let me." He's like, trimming down my beard, and he's like, "Let me just tell you, man, you're doing great things. You graduated. I just want to let you
Aw.
know that you told me you came to my shop last Christmas and you told me that you're going to quit your job." And I was like, "What?" And now here you're doing your thing. Just remember why you're doing this. Moments like that, do you have that? Who do you go to? And I'm sure Justin McKinney is probably one of the people, people that we mentioned already, like Chris and Colin and JP, because they've been by your side. But at what point do
Yeah.
you just have you ever just shut everything out and just stop? You know?
I struggle with that. I think that's one of my biggest struggles, like being such a workaholic
Hmm.
is I don't know, I'm just always in that like hustle mode and the like I think I recently posted a meme that's just like my brain like I need to finish the project. There's
I'm
the
always I'm
project
always the one reacting to
project.
your
I'm
memes
almost
because I can
the
relate.
it's the project is almost finished. Like no, I haven't, and then I have another project and then
Mm-mm.
it's just yeah, it's tough and it's something like I need help with, and sometimes I need people to tell me to like take a break and do something for myself because I just kind of fall into this cycle where like I work so much and I burn out and then I'm like I need a vacation. And then that's what like when climbing comes in where I'm like I need to go in the mountains and not look at my phone or my laptop or my DAW or whatever because I'm like living in that and just like completely check out and I need to just not have service. So that's kind of like what
Sounds
I've
so
been,
refreshing right now. Oh,
yeah, it's kind of what I've been doing. And recently I've been trying to incorporate, well, I have, I guess. I started running like pretty much every day, between my day job and then my night job, which is going back and working in my DAW. So that's actually helped a lot. I really hate running. I've never liked it at all. And I never thought that I would be like a runner. I don't know if I am a runner, but I guess now that I'm running every day, maybe I'm a runner. But
I love
it's
running. I was at cross country and track in high school, and can't do it now. But I mean, the with the whole heat now, you probably have perfect weather for this. So I'm really jealous that you get to do that. But I love
well, when the
running.
sun
It's
goes down, it's tolerable. There's
yeah,
actually, and I live at the top of a hill, so it does get breezy towards the end of the day. So it's okay. Like I go out for like half hour to an hour, and like I run, I walk, like I listen to music.
yeah. It's like a
And
high
that's
that you get, right? When you run,
yeah,
there is that sense of relief.
it's made me feel better. Like you feel like more accomplished, I guess. And it's just been that buffer of like daily outside time rather than like being cooped up in front of screens all day. Because I kind of fell into that where, there wasn't really separation between my jobs. So it's like I work all day. And like I said, I work for a recording school. I'm creating like educational audio production content.
That's
So
amazing.
it's music related. But yeah, sometimes like I'm sitting in my DAW and then editing video at the same time throughout the day. And then at night I'm like, okay, now I need to do like all this like Kallias stuff. I need to get through this list. Like I need to either write, I need to practice, or I need to edit this video or whatever. And I wasn't giving myself that buffer. And I think it was like I don't know, I was like getting depressed. So I'm like,
I
okay,
get
I
it.
need to do something. I need to add something in the routine. And I guess like, running was it, in between like the climbing trips. I'm like, well, this is okay, this is gonna help me like on all of my climbing like approaches, like the hikes that we're doing.
Is it
Cause like
helping?
it really is, yeah.
Okay.
I recently went to Banff last month and we had some pretty gnarly approaches there. I climbed this like pretty big tower called the Sentinel and it was like a 500-foot climb or something, but the hike in was like 3 hours on like through scree fields. It was just really heinous approach. And we had like we were on a time limit too because it was like a shuttle to come in and out. So it was, yeah, it was kind of crazy, but somehow like, I did it no problem. And I don't know, I think I was only sore for like a day or something like
Wow.
after, but then I felt fine afterwards. And I'm like, I'm like, maybe like all these little jogs are kind of like helping, right? Because before that, like I wasn't doing too much and I was going on these like crazy climbing trips like once a month. And then it would take me like a week to recover. So I'm like, damn, am I like getting old or I'm just like not in shape like I used to be? So
How do you
yeah,
feel,
that's
uh, Nicole? How do you feel when you're at the top? When you're climbing, you're done.
peace.
You just don't want to come down.
Uh, no, yeah, I do, but like it's just a
I
very
wouldn't.
peaceful. Yeah, it's all fun and games till you have to come down. That's what they say.
Yeah, it's
Um,
when you're up there, and I used to have like dreams about these things, and just and sitting on top of a mountain, the wind is just blowing at your face,
yeah.
and I have this fascination for just being on top of a mountain. One of my favorite movies is Everest, if you've never seen that movie, but
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know if that's something you plan on doing in the future,
No.
but it's just scary. The one of the scariest things anybody can do. People do that shit. It's insane. For people who don't know, Everest, go look up all the climbing expeditions that has been. You'd probably know all about this. It's
Yeah.
it's it's really scary, but just there's that high when you're on top of a mountain, and it is peaceful, and that
Hmm.
that rush of air, and it's just, oh, I gotta go back down again. But
Yeah.
it's like, I think, talking about taking a week to recover, I think it's just more physical. It's really mentally. It's just, when do you know enough is enough? Is that even a thing now? Like, is enough even a state of mind that even you and me can grasp at this point? When can we say, when we put this down, it's like, okay, I can kick back. I can relax now. I have never in my life felt that at any point. And I don't know if that's something I'm doing wrong. I don't know if that's the struggle I am dealing with. So
Hmm.
I don't know if you've been there,
Yes.
if you're currently dealing with that. I don't know if there is like a end all be all solution to this I don't know, enigmatic. I don't know if it's like even a problem. It's just a state of mind that just keeps recycling itself over and over. And
Hmm.
I just, it's like if I just stop something for one, if I just stop everything for one day, will that be enough? You know, if I just stop doing podcasting, if I stop editing, if I stop talking to my guests or things like that, if I stop my job, it's if I stop being Bruce Wayne and Batman altogether,
Oh my God.
is that enough? You know, that's the challenge. And I love that. I'm so glad you were able to share that your insight with me because it really gives it a whole different perspective that I may not have with anyone. Yeah, I can share this with my close friends, my siblings. I had this conversation with my brother last month after graduating, and it's just, it's like, am I satisfied? Sorry if I'm like talking
No,
over
I
divulging
totally
here,
get
but
it.
it was like after I got my diploma and my mom wouldn't stop crying. My poor mom. Like I was like, stop it. I'm
Aw.
it's cool. She was really happy. Out of all my friends that like I had friends that like showed up on that day that I didn't even expect. That was just a that was it's like someone like me. It's like when something really good happens to me, I I I don't know if I do a good job in accepting that or recognizing that. Because I've never been given flowers before, Nicole. My friend came in after the graduation and she handed me flowers, and I'm just like, what do I do with this?
That's
Do
so sweet.
do I
I love
do I
flowers.
just like that was
Who
the first
doesn't
time?
love getting
Yeah,
flowers?
and it was my really good friend Katie, and she always
Oh,
calls me on my birthday to tell me happy birthday, and she's an Aries, just like you. Her birthday is April 18th. No, yeah, 18th is her birthday, April 18th. I would call her on her birthday. So we did this. We've been doing this for like the last 20 years, but she
oh,
came unannounced, gave me flowers. But the point of me telling you this is just I don't know if I do a really good job in just realizing that this is a good day. This is a good time. I deserve these good things because I've worked hard to achieve it. But I don't know.
yeah.
It's just never enough. I just keep the next day. I'm just like, all right, what next? When's my next podcast? I gotta line up this schedule. I gotta maybe line up for my master's degree, and
Yeah,
oof. Sorry, I'm like
I
I'm.
can
See,
relate.
this is what I meant. This is a
I
therapy
feel like I'm listening to myself right now because like I'm like, yeah, this all sounds familiar because I do the same thing. Um, it's
and
always,
you
I
can
mean,
go
I
to
think,
and you can go to your peers and I got to get this out. Sorry, my
yeah,
mind is going to explode. You can go to your peers, you can go to your brothers, your sister, and so on and so forth. Even your parents to an extent. I don't know that sometimes that works, but yeah, I never met my dad, so it's I don't have that luxury to do so. I can't just go to someone and just say, how do you deal with this? Sure, I had a friend the other day tell me maybe you should invest in a therapist. Sure, maybe I don't
Mm.
know. So anyway, I
Well, I think you
apologize.
can also decide what is therapy to you. Like, yeah, I think everyone could benefit from a therapist, right? But there's so many different forms of therapy. I mean, I think writing music is therapy. When you get into that flow. I mean, for me, climbing is therapy,
Hmm.
or talking to a friend is therapy too. So you just kind of have to decide like what works best for you, because what might work for someone might not work for you, right? So, and then as far as like being satisfied, like I think that's also like a choice that you make too. And I think the fact that like, we share this thing in common where like we finish something and yeah, like everyone congratulates us and you want to like take a step back and just enjoy it and be like, yeah, that was enough. Like I think I'm gonna chill now. But the fact that like my brain and your brain goes to, oh, well, but then what about the next thing? Like I want to start working on it, just means that you're hungry to keep going. And I think like I don't know if it's like this for you, but for me, like my biggest competition is myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm always striving for like, okay, yeah, like I decided that this record is done, but like how can I make the next one better? Like, how can I top this? You know? So I don't know. That's just how I see it, I think.
And it's interesting because you're congratulating me on everything I'm doing, right? And then I'm congratulating you
Yeah.
on everything you're doing. But it's that's it. Now what? Because
Hmm.
I love this album. I love First Ascent. This is probably more than likely gonna end up one of my favorite albums of the year.
Oh,
Not
thank
only
you.
because it's coming from, of course it's coming from a friend who created it, but the camaraderie and the work behind, there's such a thick and solid backstory behind First Ascent. That's what I really appreciate about it. And when you're telling me you're already getting started on the next one, it's like, okay, hold it, Nicole. Just stop. Wait a
Oh
second.
yeah. No, a good chunk of it is
Celebrate,
actually
yeah.
done.
Celebrate this now, please, because you owe it to
Yeah.
yourself. Of course, I'm probably not in any place to even tell you that, but it's something that you even owe it to yourself. You owe it to your bandmates. You owe it to so many people who supported you. I mean, you don't owe us anything, obviously, but it's celebrating your successes along the way. It's like I'm giving all these things. I'm telling you, these I love commemorating my guests because I love the work that that's why I started this, because I wanted to give people a platform to talk about what they don't talk about. But again, that same friend who told me I should get a therapist, and she said it lovingly, don't get me wrong, but it was like, Sonny, listen to your own advice. Do you even listen to your own
Oh yeah.
podcasts?
Yeah.
And I do
That's the
such a,
best advice is listen to your like what would you tell someone if they were
it's
telling
like,
you
why am
this?
I not, I just told you so many great things, and I could even say the same thing to myself, but I don't, because we're humans and
Yeah.
we like to get our asses kicked
Yeah.
subconsciously, and I guess that's why that drive never ends. Can you imagine though? Think about it. Think about this. I know I'm like taking up so much of our time on this podcast here,
No.
but think about this for a second. I'm even like going into like a whole different territory here. If we were completely satisfied with what we do in our life, I don't know if we'd be where we're at right now,
No.
as
We wouldn't. You're
as
right.
humans, as just a race in particular.
Mm.
I think that rabbit hole can go as deep as we wanted to, but think about, what I just said. That's just, that really sits in my head. It's like, okay, I get it.
Yeah,
It's like,
nothing would change. Nothing would ever progress
yeah.
if you
Why
just
does
became satisfied
why did
or
Brady win 7 Super Bowls? And he wanted to come, he even wanted to come back this year. So
yeah.
that's an example. And I just feel it's really amazing what we're able to accomplish when we really, as cheesy as this sounds, we've been cheesy this whole conversation. um it means a lot. Like, if you really focus on your craft, you're going to be a better person the next time. And and I know you, Nicole. I already know you're a better person than you were last year, even before we talk. I know I'm a better person than when we first spoke
Oh,
together.
I hope so.
No, really, we are, and we learned so much about each other. And it really, I feel like part of what you do kind of also keeps me going. And I don't say this just to anyone. I'm a very I'm a terrible kiss ass. So you know that I mean it when I say that. So everything that you've done, it's like, man, she's doing this. I know I can push myself to do what I'm doing. And but yeah,
Well,
just
thank you. I mean,
no,
yeah,
thank
it's a
you.
lot of work. I mean, if I can inspire anybody, I'm happy to inspire because it's like, yeah, like if I can do it, like you can do it too.
And I feel like
And
you're
it
doing,
applies to
yeah.
anything.
And I feel like you're doing that with, your Justin, Chris, Colin, JP, even the guests you've had on your album. I feel like to an extent, you're doing that for them too. They got to be a part at some point in their life. They got to be a part of something you created. I would take so much pride in that. That's just me. And even though I'm
Yeah,
saying
I think
that,
it goes both
even though
ways.
I'm saying that, we're gonna get done with this conversation, and then tomorrow it's like, all right, gotta get the wheels rolling again. So
Yeah.
but man, what else do we got to talk about? We this is clocking over an hour. I wanted to ask, before we end things here, because can we talk about, if I know you're outside, your weapon of mass destruction?
Oh,
Where
yeah, the
So
new
I
custom.
you just posted on your feed not too long ago. It is a do you have that with you? I don't know what you can, and if you can't, that's okay. But tell me more about this because I know that's something that you've been looking forward to a long time. Because since you were a just a new member on the Jackson guitar line, I think it was 2020 when you were in the lineup. It was just I asked you about your plans for a custom guitar when you first joined Jackson, and what tools do you get with your custom guitar that you couldn't get with other guitars? So many things
Hmm.
I asked you about, but I feel like it's finally arrived. I don't know if you had a chance
Yeah.
to display it fully to the public, but
Yeah,
man,
I did like a little unveiling video
did
for
did you
now.
name it?
I'm still thinking about it. I don't know. I was thinking about like maybe
Hmm.
like Berserker or something, something
Hell
violent,
yeah.
you know?
That sounds,
I'm
dude, that
still,
sounds so good.
do you think that's a good one?
Man, you didn't even like
The
second guess
Berserker.
it. I feel like that's the
It's kind of sticking with me. I said it
yeah.
once and I'm just like, yeah,
Can
I
you
think it
imagine? And
kind of
I,
is.
I don't know, with like a I don't know, calligraphy like B like on the back of the model or something like that. It's
Yeah.
like and the edges are like sharpened or something like that. And I'm just saying, and then with like a green coil around like the letter. Now I'm really getting
Oh wow,
into it.
you're just visualizing it
I
now.
picked green
Yeah.
because that's a dominant color for Kallias, or if you
Yeah,
decide to go completely 180, you can. But man,
it is.
I
Yeah.
like that name. Or man, I guess this is already taken. I was thinking Destroyer too. Destroyer would be really
Yeah,
cool.
I'm sure that's taken.
Or
Well, I
or
don't
or
know.
you could call it the something. That's a really cool thing. I don't know if
Yeah.
many guitar shredders are going with the something, but that'd be a
Yeah.
cool idea too. You're one of my
I don't
favorite
know.
shred.
We'll
You're one of
see.
my favorite shredders on the planet. So I'm pretty sure you're gonna come up with a really cool name. But I like that idea. So I'll endorse
Yeah.
you 10 times heavily on that if you decide to do that.
Yeah, it
But
plays amazing. I've been waiting a very long time for this guitar, like probably like a year and a half, only because um, it's just such a massive like pipeline, right? Of people
yeah,
putting in customs. So the wait is just very long. But apparently this guitar was a lot simpler to build than my last custom because it doesn't have like that crazy like piezo in the bridge and
yeah,
like the components weren't as complicated. I think if anything, like it was more so like getting the shape right, because I literally had to like draw out on a piece of paper. Like I got the idea from like, a Rhodes Warrior,
yeah,
but I still wanted like the horns to be extended. So essentially, like the only like warrior-esque part of it is like the top horn that's next to the neck. That's like the true like warrior horn right there.
yeah.
And then like the bottom one is like kind of from the roads, right? And then we like really just extended the other two. So it just has that really aggressive, like sharp, and it comes to, it's not even beveled. So let's see how
Dude,
long that lasts before I smack it on something or hit someone on stage.
I'm making sure I didn't. Okay, you don't have any promo shots with that axe yet, do
I
you?
didn't I didn't release
Oh,
any yet.
oof.
There's
I
shots, but
can't freaking wait to see that.
yeah,
It's gonna look so good. It already looks so
yeah.
good.
There are photos. I haven't had time to edit them yet. I'm kind of like in this crunch mode before our tour and album comes out, and like it's been hard for me to like put out content. So I don't know if you noticed, a lot of my content lately has been very like lazy content.
No,
Like
don't say that.
let me
I
just
love
throw up a camera here, take a guitar out of a box, walk away,
that's
or
good enough.
just set up my practice cam in the background or whatever. Yeah, that's been my like lazy content lately. So, but there will be playthroughs. I will eventually edit those photos with the guitar and I'm gonna do like a whole like spec rundown video and everything. So
If you when do you don't have like a window on when this might be out, do you?
I don't. I'm like I said, I'm
That's
trying to
okay.
like focus on the tours next and everything needs to be
Will
ready for it.
I'm only asking because we like to, when I publish my episodes, I like to promote it with a really like a photo. That's what I was asking.
Mhm.
But when that comes out, we'll switch it to that.
Yeah,
So,
totally.
but Nicole, I love everything you've done. You've been you're such a one of my you are one of my favorite guests to be on my show.
Oh,
So
thank you
I
so
mean,
much.
no, thank you, and just for taking the time to sit with me today. And I know we always cover such a good amount of ground on our conversations, and
Mhm.
Tavianya, the discussions we've had will always be, great, and hoping I know it's coming down soon, but someday we will meet each other in person, whether I'm out on the West Coast and or whether you're down here in Texas, maybe
Yeah, I
someday.
hope we're
And
we're gonna be touring there, like we're now that we're on Continental, we're trying really hard, like to look for good support slots for
yeah,
2024, because I would really love to do like a full US to support this record. So,
and
yeah.
I will be there to support you all the way. If you guys need even like I don't think I've asked this for to one other person, but if you guys need like a short term like tour photographer, let me know. I would love to do that for you guys if you guys don't have one already, that is. But
Yeah, no, we don't I don't think we're gonna have any crew on any
yeah, it's okay.
it's
And
like,
I'm just gonna do there just to help you guys out. If you guys need it, just let me know.
oh, that
And
would that would be so
no,
amazing.
seriously, I'm gonna do everything I can to help you guys. Just the support, and I know everything we discussed, even your upbringings, even the touring, and then playing with
Yeah.
different bands, the relationship with your bandmates, and the Jackson endorsement. I just love that you have that, and again, I've said this in the past, but I'm excited to see what happens from here on out, even from one point to the next, wherever you are. I asked you last year if you ever stop for a moment to take a look back, right? Let me ask you this. As we're rounding this out, what would you say is the most rewarding part for someone like you who is now at this point in their career?
Right now is finally seeing my first full length record for the band and everyone involved coming to fruition. Like that's crazy to me. Like I've only ever put out one other full length in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and that was, yeah, like over 10 years ago and totally different genre.
Yep.
So I feel like, I don't know, this is pretty like monumental um for me, and the fact that like we're already scheduled to track the next one next year. Um, I'm just really looking forward to that. So it's happening like pretty fast, but we're doing it.
You are
So
doing it. And
whatever it takes.
hey, just keep pinching yourself along the way because it's the saying, and what The Office is one of my favorite shows. There's a saying in that show where Andy Bernard, one of the guys in that show, he goes, I wish you were in the good old days before you leave them, or something like that. I think you and me are in that.
The journey part of it,
No,
right?
right now.
Yeah.
We talked about shutting everything off from the outside and just kind of just relaxing, just like, okay, let's just chill. We've done that for the last hour and a half, and now it's we did that. That was the therapeutic part. And then here we are. I think after this interview, after we shut everything down, I know tonight I'll go to sleep thinking that was very therapeutic. I feel like at ease. I have a very busy weekend coming up,
I do
Nicole,
too.
and I'm gonna wake up feeling so refreshed, thinking, man, that I felt the same way last year too. I remember that, and even the time before that. But I don't get that with anybody else. Maybe with one other two people, but not the way that we've commuted on a certain extent. Because I can't just sit here and just share away my feelings with just anybody, because I'm very comfortable to that point where, you've supported me throughout my career with the amount of time we've known each other, and the fact that I'm able to share my success with you. It feels justified. Like,
Yeah.
like
And
I've
this
done
is
these things.
it's our third podcast. So it
Third of
kind of like
however
feels,
how yeah, third of however many more we're gonna
I
have. I
know,
know
it
we're
just
gonna have
feels
so
like
much
home,
more.
you know?
But I just want to thank you again for just taking the time out of your day to do this with me. I know we had to schedule this But I'm. Are you feeling better? I know
Oh,
you were sick. I think
I
last week. I think. Are you okay?
Oh yeah, I'm
Okay.
fine. There was a
Yeah.
couple, I don't know if it was allergies or something was going around, but I had a
Yeah.
few days where I was just like, am I getting like a summer cold or something? But
This
yeah,
and yeah,
all
it's
good
it's
now.
it's been insane even for me. But I'm gonna let you go here. I hope you have a good night, Nicole. Do you have
Yeah.
any shout outs, any last words you want to mention? I know you talked about a music video that was gonna come out soon, but
Yes, stay
if you
tuned
wanna
because we will have another video coming out very close to the album release date. So
two
it might
weeks
be
from today, yeah,
2 weeks from today.
it's gonna come by
Yeah.
so fast. But
So
um
yeah, stay tuned. The album release coming out the 25th this month, first Ascent, and that kicks off our West Coast tour with Cyborg Octopus.
I'm gonna try to publish this episode next week as soon as I can, and I will give you everything you need. Just let me know if you need anything else from
Awesome.
me as far as like promo materials and so on and so forth. But
Yeah, we'll do like a little video, and if you want to do like a collab post or something on
hell
Instagram, we can
yeah,
do that.
would love to. Okay.
Yeah.
Love you, Nicole. Take care of
Thank you
yourself.
so much. Thank you.
Um
Thank you.
no, thank you. And say hi to your bandmates for me. Tell Justin
I
he is
will.
a beautiful magician. I don't think if anyone's ever told him that before. That may be a little odd since he's never seen my face
Wow.
before, but
That's a good one.
he is like seriously, he's an amazing musician. I can't believe you guys are like my ideal like couple for like just
Oh,
the way you guys just
thanks.
collaborate and just make yourself just a better musician each day. Because so keep at it. You guys are something
Thank
special.
you.
But shout out to you, shout out to Justin, shout out to Kallias. Everyone who's listening, this is the amazing Nicole Papastavrou from Kallias, and First Descent drops August 25th on AISA Distribution and The Orchard, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you haven't already, the fourth phase is also out. I still listen to that EP. It's just still in my
Oh.
rotation. Okay. So that's I believe that's still on the streaming platforms.
Hmm.
Don't forget you can listen to this podcast on all major podcast streams out there. Check us out on interviewonfire.com. Nicole, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Always the best. Stay in touch. I will see you soon, hopefully, in person
Yes.
or here on again, okay? So
Okay. Thank you so much for having me. This was great.
Risen by the thoughts of the spirits up in the air. Well, I can't stop while I'm on top of this.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to Interview Under Fire podcast. If you guys liked what you heard, please subscribe and share our channel. And please leave a 5-star review as that helps us tremendously. If you'd like to check out more, visit www.interviewunderfire.com or our social media channels on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And finally, we want to thank you all for the support you've been giving us. Keep it burning.